that, it keeps everything where it's supposed
Right,
to be.
okay.
So then we can keep, yeah, that's fine, whatever you say, okay?
Are you importing this footage?
I imported it as a composition with the routine.
Okay, okay.
So then I take this whole comp, and I can drag it in, and we can pose it however we want.
Right.
But if we go into this, see here how there's 3 layers? We have the body, and then we have these arms on separate layers. Let's just deal with the body for now, and I'll show you what we can do. So get up to 100. The puppet tool looks like a pin. See that?
Yeah.
There's 3 tools. You can put pins in. You can set which layers overlap. So we can set a preference like the left leg is always gonna, if it goes on top of the right leg, it'll be over top or underneath all the time. And then the starch tool affects how bendy the puppet is. So we'll get into that. With these layers here that have the arms on the separate layer, we want the seam to be really stiff. We don't want that to bend at all because you'll get little holes in it as it bends. So you pin that all down and starch it, and then you keep this all loose. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So we have layer 2 here with our nice little body. And we're just going to put pins in his legs so that we can make him do a little jig. So you grab the puppet pin tool, and the second I click on this, it's going to turn it into a puppet. So I want to control his chest. I want to control his waist. I want to control his knees and his feet. Right? So now,
Nope. Yeah, we're going to.
I can bend these.
Oh, awesome. Oh my god.
And I can animate them. So now we can have him, doing that. Well, it's, you have to play with it or whatever, right? But you can animate these. So we can have, especially what I wanted to show you was with these arms. So now if I undo all this.
Did you rig this up?
Yeah, just now. I mean, it's literally a 3-layer PSD. So now with these arms.
No, but I mean, did you create the puppet thing?
The
puppet?
tool?
Yeah.
But do you want to grab these?
Oh, okay.
I can't create my own tools in After Effects.
He's just showing us 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm down to eat together.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. 1 second. Okay, so now I've turned on this arm. And I'm just going to make the composition a bit bigger. You don't need to worry about doing this, just so we have room for the arm to kind of move, right? So now we got plenty of room for this arm to bend. But the problem is, if I just go in here and set a pin in the shoulder, set a pin in the shoulder, 1 in the elbow, and 1 in the wrist. If I move this, you see how the shoulder is moving?
Yeah.
That's no good, right? We need it to be stiff up here and still have all of the wonderful bendiness down in the actual arm. So what we'll do, now, I haven't actually tried this yet, but try it out. So there's 2 ways you can do this. What you can do is you can put your pins in like normal. Just put them in here. I'm not going to do any bending of that shoulder. And then I can take the starch tool, and that makes a starch point. Now down in your timeline window, in mesh 1, you'll have stiffness.
Oh, you can animate that?
Starch 1. That's a starch point. So you can either animate it, but what's even nicer is you can just see the gray, how it's extending?
Yep.
You can extend the reach of the starch point. You can also extend how starchy it is. So I'm pulling this up to 110%. So now when I bend this point, you motherfucker, it shouldn't bend. So let's just stick 1 last pin in there too. You fucking bastard.
Oh, the pivot is off, but,
but
it's working.
Is it working?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's working.
Just put the pivot
Here,
up.
I'm gonna pin it here,
Yeah.
but I'm also gonna pin it here.
Okay.
And maybe even here.
Do it.
Doesn't really matter. Because we're just animating this pin, right? So now, you can obviously...
That's awfully phallic.
You should add 1 more point to make it stiff.
It's like a trunk.
Yeah. But I mean, what you can do too is, you can go in and play with the starch.
Yeah.
You can starch it up so that, this will bend all as one piece. So that's starch 2.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
extend so it's about the the forearm-ish.
Yeah.
And I don't put it up to 110%. I leave it at 25%. So now his arm bends all together.
Wow,
And then you put the
so
stiffness
crazy.
in here, right? And then all
So
of these
crazy.
pins, like John was wondering how to animate the pins. So what you would do is just like anything in After Effects. Once you set the first keyframe, you can just keep setting keyframes. So we have the puppet tool, we have mesh one, we have all these starch points, but we also have these deform points. So as I highlight them down here, you see how they're changing up in here? You can tell which one is selected just by looking. So that's the wrist point right here.
Okay.
Because you see how the wrist point here is highlighted? So what I can do is, at the beginning, I just set, that's supposed to say position. Just widen this. You bastard. It's supposed to say position. So once I've set that initial keyframe, if I move along the timeline, and I move the keyframe, it's going to animate in between.
Cool.
So it's really a matter of just setting the starch. Starch is really important, and the key points.
Would you suggest we animate in this comp? Is that the right
You can, but it gets tricky, right?
Right.
What I would recommend, actually, is that you import them as a composition with the layered sizes retained or whatever. But then you bring up your main comp where you have, your trees and your other stuff.
Yeah.
And then you just take the elements out of this folder
And put them in the main one.
and just throw them in there. Yeah.
Okay.
And they might be a little fucked up, like these definitely are fucked up. But you can just slap them back together.
Yeah, okay.
And then animating them will be a lot easier.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Yeah. And then with the faces, I'm not sure if you guys have had a look.
Well, I've seen them, but
They're not. You won't even need the puppet tool for them. You'll be able to do just straight keyframe animations. Yeah, the eyebrows are in separate layers. The mouth part, if you look, they're all in one folder. So the bottom part of the mouth, you can literally just pull it up and down. Another thing we can do is we can write an expression that listens to our pre-recorded audio, and it'll just flat the mouth when it hears sounds of a certain decibel.
that sounds good.
Which will be pretty handy, right? There was one last thing. Oh yeah. Can everyone who's going to be animating go into Google
Yes.
and look up Ease, After Effects CS5 Ease and Wiz. This is a script that's not included in After Effects, but you know how there's ease in and ease out?
Yeah.
This adds like 5 other ones. You can have like bounce, there's elastic.
Nice.
It's a way of animating using just simple keyframes and avoiding it looking very blocky and basic. It adds a certain complexity to your animation without you having to do anything. The one thing to note, it's kind of complicated to get. I have it, so I can just give it to you. But if you want to get it, you go add to cart, and then you say, I'm paying $0, update my cart, and then you check out. And it'll send you a download link, but you don't have to pay anything for it.
So you pay what you want.
Yeah.
It's a donation sort of thing.
Yeah. And then you just click checkout, and it'll send you the download link.
It's nice if, watch out when you type zeros in, that you don't leave a 5 there.
$5,000.
Oh my god, we just got $5,000.
Don't worry too much about getting it. If you don't have it by the time we get to animate, I'll just give it to
How do
you.
you install
There's in the programs folder, there's a folder that says scripts.
drop
You'll just be able to drop it in there. But you also have to go into preferences and enable scripts to change your preferences. Some little window of scripts.
Okay, I'll come to you.
There's instructions on the website.
For the motion about some, bombs.
Yeah?
Yeah, I already have the script.
Oh, perfect. So you're already
Yeah,
exposed
yeah,
to it.
I have it.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Turn on my own PC.